Right. Did you stay on the call this morning, Andrew?
Yeah. Olivia did really well. Yeah, it's really good.
What did she do well?
She included everyone, allowed people to talk, choosing sort of subjects as and when needed. But yeah, it ran smoothly. Um, yeah, contributed and that just gave everyone a space to talk. We had four of us in the end. Three for the first half, four for the second half.
Wow, okay. Well, good, good. I'll see the recording and run the AI stuff and yeah. I must admit I'm looking forward to getting back next week, back to the stability and the structure of it all. Trying
Mm,
to do this and being on holiday in different time zones, it's a bit of a fuck up. But
mm.
anyway, let's check in. Let's start. So David checking in. I got a headache. But I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy. Andrew?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm feeling hot and a bit, yeah, clammy at the moment. But yeah, really a much better week. Really relaxed this week compared to last week. Had a good few days off, and yeah, everything's been running smoothly this week. So checking in as relaxed, but a bit hot.
Okay.
And I'll take Marcus.
Yeah, I'm checking in uh heavy. Um, yeah, I had a phone call to say that my brother's just been taken to prison, so I hadn't heard from him since November. So it's kind of thrown me, and now I've got some responsibilities of his to fulfill and sort out. So yeah, chaotic. I think is the word. My head's a bit chaotic. So I'll be home in a minute, and I can ground and be present.
Okay. So did your brother know he was going to prison? Did you know he was going down, or is this like a surprise?
His lifestyle. He just dices with this side of society, I guess. Um, he knew it was coming at some point, and I think part of
Oh,
it was
okay.
self-sabotage and pushing for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what should we talk about today? I've got a bit of an agenda, but let's see what's in the container first.
I guess one thing it's kind of appropriate now because obviously when you get smaller groups, it's harder to maintain. So when you're doing groups and bits, um, strategies around sort of keeping the small container engaged, I guess, and around that, and the challenges around that.
Okay. Marcus?
I'm happy to be distracted by another agenda other than the one that's in my head at the moment. So I'll just
And what is in your head at the moment?
well, he's my brother. I love him. I have to protect my own recovery and my own progress from what I understand about wellness. And I'm just thinking, how the fuck can I give him a brain transplant? How do I make that possible? But yeah, so it's part of the reason why I have my feelings around the system. He's someone that's near and dear but completely failed. But this was inevitable. So yeah, that's how do you solve a problem like Maria? That's what's kind of going on in my head. Um, yeah, I guess I need to process it rather than entertain it right now. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be a moment to reflect on it and maybe build a plan of action. But yeah,
Okay. So let's so first of all, let's go for an hour and a half today. Yeah. It's for me, it feels like I've had a heavy day, and to do 2 hours is going to be quite taxing on me. I've had three meetings already, and I'm quite fatigued. So, and the reason I'm saying that as well, Andrew, is like sometimes if a container's like too intense, you can shorten it from our perspective. It's not like therapy where you sit, and if you're going to sit in silence, then you sit in silence, and it's like fuck. Okay, so how does that feel? Renegotiating the time with you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
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 cool.
yeah. All right. The second thing I wanted to say was we have on a Tuesday the community of practice where there's individual people doing coaching for their own private practice. Thursday morning is coming together as a Lero, working as a coach in a Lero. And and this part is now about the system working in a professional role within a lived experienced organization. And what I wanted to get curious about is working how the organization can adjust to the personalities of the people within the organization. So the first call I had this morning was someone around neurodivergence. Yep. Ruth, who put a post out on LinkedIn saying blah blah blah, I want help and all that. And I was onto it. I jumped on it and we had a call and a meeting and I've like posted it and because I really want to support neurodiverse people coming into a workplace that is supportive of that as opposed to trying to get neurodiverse people and model them in to fit into the work environment. Yep. Because then you're just going to get that kind of NHS stuff that you spoke about last week, Andrew. Yep. So it's like, oh fuck, guys, I really don't like holding a container with like two, three people, and it's just like death by fucking yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like and all those kind of restrictions that come in. Now, there's a term I learned in coaching called geography, where instead of the coaching conversation being in a room, with a couple of chairs and a pot plant, and we're coming together, and we're going to talk about your session now and all that. If the energy's not right, change the geography of the room. Get out, go for a walk, drive in a car. The people can learn about recovery in many different areas where the therapeutic clinical environment doesn't allow that. It has to be on the hospital property or in this office here, and it, like needs to be glass walls so you can see what's going on, safeguarding all that. That stuff is great, but that's not what's happening in our sort of environments. Does that make sense?
Completely.
So give us a bit of your situation, Andrew, and we'll take it from there. While Marcus is walking home and processing, fuck, I've just got this family news. I wish I could have a brain transplant. Give it to my brother because I really love him a lot, but he's kind of brought this upon himself with the lifestyle choices he's making. Yeah, do you know what? So there's that narrative living there. So Mark.
Carl. David, you've cut out, mate. I think. Sorry, David, you just
Sorry,
cut
yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah. I was just saying, Marcus, relax, enjoy your work. Let's put the burden on Andrew.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
go for it,
Yeah,
Andrew.
yeah. I hope everything's all right, Marcus, and that yeah, keep take care of yourself with it all. Yeah, for me, the it makes complete sense giving people that place where they feel comfortable and that they're going to speak out more. So getting out of that environment. Um, I know for me, for example, I open up more when I'm driving, just driving and
Yep.
just focusing on driving, and whoever's next to me chatting away, I'll just talk naturally next to them. Whereas if I'm
Are you
sat in a
allowed
room
to
next
do,
to
are you
someone,
allowed to do that in your organization?
and that's me personally. So for my personal experience, in my organisation, we're all remote working, so it's always on camera. So it's
Okay.
difficult to obviously have that, but we do have an event coming up where I imagine people will open up a lot more. It'll be a lot more relaxed because you can just get go for a walk and do bits. So that'd be interesting to go on to that. But the struggle is that environment where you feel like your barriers are put in the way, like with the NHS. It's trying to find out that balance with it all, isn't it? And with remote working, there's only one way we can do it, and it's trying to. I notice the way you do it is to raise the tone sometimes and to just manage it when it feels like it's getting in a bit of a lull. But yeah, it's trying to manage all that. But
So it's
she's like,
doing the level 3 listening, getting
mm,
an idea of the vibe of the container, and then shifting it.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's check Daisy in. Hello, Daisy.
Hello.
Would you like to check in?
I am checking in, feeling really good for once.
Welcome
Isn't
to
that nice?
spring.
I know. Yeah, sun's out, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we just recapped the 3 trainings. So peer recovery on a Tuesday, community of practice stuff. Thursday morning, kind of recovery coaching, working in a Lero sort of space. And then this being systemic wellness practitioner. Marcus received some personal news with his brother who's going to be going to jail, and like fucking now this has impacted him in his role and blah blah blah. And then Andrew was talking about how do you hold a container, yeah, when it's just fucking going nowhere, but you got to kind of manage the time, yep, and you could just like
Yeah.
everyone just wants to fucking leave, yep. And we were
Yeah.
talking about geography, yep, so changing the environment and the space. So in the lived experience recovery coaching space, you can do that. You can go for a walk outside, go in a car. You don't have that sort of safeguarding, like, "Oh, it's got to be in the hospital, it's got to be in a room with glass doors. You have a lot more freedom. So when we explore Epic, they're interacting with people in the online space. Yeah. So how do you
Mhm.
spice up the online space? Yeah, because like it's like Thursday afternoon now, it's sunny outside. It's like fuck, he's been putting up a trampoline for his daughter. It's like, okay. So we're only going to go for an hour and a half today. So there we've just like lopped half an hour off. Yep. So feel free to do that. Yep. Um, yep. So that's the kind of agenda where we're at today. Was that a good summary, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He also likes to drive
Oh yes, yeah, we forgot about that.
and then to have kind of talking in a car. And that makes a lot of sense because you kind of got your hands on the steering wheel, there's action going on, and I'm the same. Yep. I like to be
Yes.
busy and walking and doing stuff. You want to
I'm
say
good.
something, Marcus?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna duck out because my mum's belling off my phone, and I think I just need to just put some attention to
Marcus,
this.
lots of love. If you want to
Mm.
jump back in, you're more than welcome.
I
Okay.
just wanted to escape here in the meeting, but I can't, so I need to go and face it.
Okay,
So
mate.
I'll catch you all next week,
Yeah, take care,
and
man.
enjoy your weekend. See you later.
Great. Later. Bye. Okay, now it's going to be the best meeting ever, right? He's going to be fucking so resentfully missed out. Okay, cool. Let's go. So before we go back to Andrew, how's life at Raw, Daisy?
Um, good. Things are kind of just ticking over at the moment, which is quite nice. Um, there are always little problems here and there, but actually everything's kind of nice at the moment. Touch wood.
Have I seen you since we had that meeting?
No, no.
I'm so sorry about fucking the timing up. and I'll give myself 10 out of 10 for effort,
Yeah.
even though I did fuck up on my side. Um, how was it? What was your takeaway from the meeting?
I thought the meeting was great. To be honest, we got a lot of feedback um, that we just had kind of hadn't considered, especially from Holly. Her whole thing is data,
Hmm.
and research and recording things. And some of the pointers and the advice that she gave us was actually really useful. And we've already kind of put some of that into practice. So we've started monitoring the WhatsApp groups that we use. And
Okay.
actually, now that we've kind of taken the data out of it, it is astonishing how much kind of contact goes on in those WhatsApp groups. Um, so I'm adding another slide to my annual report, of course. Um,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
yeah. And then obviously we got some feedback about leadership, and that was quite useful because I think we had been really unsure for since the start. We've been really unsure of what to do, whether we needed it or all of that. And for every single person in the room to say yes, you do need it, it's made us kind of think a little bit more. And we've got an in-person directors meeting in a week or so. Yeah. Um, and that's kind of where we will be putting our kind of strategy together for the next couple of years. And part of that will also be discussing leadership and what we're going to do. So it's given us lots of food for thought, I think. I'm still trying to get the recording because some people had to leave early. Um, but yeah, I think it was really useful.
Good. Good.
When you say leadership, how are things at the moment then in your organisation?
So at the moment we have 6 directors, and we kind of make operational and strategic decisions. Those decisions are then run by our leadership committee, which is a group of our volunteers.
I'm just glad it's not me, Andrew, for a change. Let's see if she comes back.
Mm.
Just remember, it's like for a group of our volunteer.
You can pick right off where she came left off.
I wonder if she's sitting there just going blah, 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 blah. Oh,
And now it's 2.
hey,
Now down to 2. Yeah.
down to 2. All right. So let's have a one-on-one, and I'd like to talk about my erectile dysfunction. That should make the group a bit more
Yeah.
interesting, or not.
Yeah. What for the next hour and 10 minutes? Yeah. Yeah.
Have you tried
Tried everything, David. Yeah.
yeah. So what are the going back to your challenge, yeah? What are the things that keep the group? Oh, there we go. Are you back, Daisy? Are you back?
I'm back. Sorry. My internet cut out.
Yeah, we noticed. Just as you got to volunteer, so you said you make a decision, yeah, for operational stuff, and then you get speak to the leadership committee of the volunteer.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a volunteer leadership committee. They are kind of heads of areas in Kent, and they manage smaller groups of volunteers. They have the power to veto our decisions or put things forward for discussion between the directors. So yeah, all of the directors are on like even kilter. We don't have one person that is in charge.
So there's a flat structure.
Yeah. And in the advisory board meeting, the advisory board are like a little separate entity that we go to for advice. They
That's where I
suggested,
live.
yeah, that's where David lives. They suggested that we should have one person who is essentially CEO, someone that is in charge of, you know, making decisions on the spot, who's in charge of risk, who is visible to the public and to our volunteers, a kind of end of the line, so that if things are escalated, they can go all the way up to that one person who is responsible for the decisions. So, yeah.
And also, that it cuts out that confusion. If none of you agree on something and you're all kind of got different ideas, it's having that one person to make that
Now,
decision.
is that person coming from your community or part of your existing leadership team?
Think it
Is it somebody you're going to be bringing in from the outside? Is it a paid role? Is it what's?
I don't know. This is what needs to be discussed. So James is putting together a job description. And then we will discuss the role and vote on kind of are we hiring someone that is already in our leadership, one of our board of directors? Are we going to put it out to external candidates? I don't think we are, but those are the kind of discussions that we need to have. There have been discussions in the past about CEO, and it got not really messy. It got a little bit messy. And then we decided to back off from that decision. But now this has kind of put it back at the forefront of our minds. So,
Because
what do you mean?
so what are the reasons around it? So you've got like a one person that's accountable for this, where the buck kind of stops here, and there's our CEO, and they're giving us direction and all that, and we're the team around it.
Yeah.
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 All right. So what is a CEO? Chief?
Executive officer.
Okay. So he's the chief, or they're the chief. Are you still there, Andrew? We lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, this is also a nice shot of Daisy frozen as well. That's okay. So where I wanted to go with the conversation is in African culture, the chief of the village has no possessions or belongings. Yeah. So, and whereas is the West, the CEO, the chief, gets share options, gets a whole lot of things to motivate them from a monetary perspective.
Right.
Yeah. And that influences leadership. Hey, you back?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. So Daisy, what I was talking about is chief executive officer is the first word chief. Yep. And in African culture or in an African village, the chief has no possessions. Yep. The chief makes the decisions. Yep. Whereas in Western culture, the chief that has the accountability, they usually got share options or they're paid a big salary or they got so they're influenced by. Are you frozen again?
Mm.
What's a pity because I think what I'm saying is so important,
Mm.
but it's obviously not meant to be said. But the reason I want to say it is because in a top-down structure, the chief is at the top. In a servant leader structure, the chief is at the bottom. So the people in the front line make up the calls and the decisions based
Right.
on the people that they're serving. Yeah. Third time lucky, maybe?
I'll give it a go. I've closed a bunch of my tabs to see if that helps. But don't don't keep repeating yourself for me. I'm gonna.
Well, it's kind of important, and I'll tell you why it's important because for a lived experience recovery organization, if you're getting advice of what you should do, you want to like the advice is going to be coming from a mindset and a thinking which might impact and influence the way your organization is run. So in traditional Western world, the top-down approach, chief executive officers, middle management, yeah, the workers, yeah, and accountability, blah, blah, blah. Whereas in servant leadership, yep, you're doing this because of the goodness of your heart and you're being paid a stipend. Yep, you're not being motivated by share options and things like that. Yeah. So I'm a chief executive officer. I've got a share options. I'm going to be in this role for 5 years. My job is to grow shareholder value, and I report to the board of executives who has a chairman and blah blah blah. Yep. And then so but in a servant leadership organization, yeah, it's a bit kind of like political as well. The person will be voted in or maybe born into it. So in a monarchy like kings and queens, you get born into the family and you're so much in line, but you're actually separated from church and state. Yeah. So so yeah, it's different. What's it? Different courses for different horses. Yeah, I told you it would be interesting, but maybe this is only interesting for me. How are you feeling about this, Andrew? Any wisdom here that you'd like to?
I was only a question is you mentioned it got messy last time you tried to do it. What's different this time? Is there anything different
Great
this time going
question.
forward?
Great coaching question.
I don't know if it will be different this time. Um, Last time what happened was I don't know how much I can say. Um,
So a great leadership skill in lived experienced organizations is using language that is diplomatic. So you basically say someone's a dickhead without being direct.
no one was a dickhead. The topic of a CEO was brought up because myself and James were doing funding bids, and a lot of the funding bids have this big section on governance, and they want to see
Great.
who's in charge, why they're in
Here's the
charge.
money. Who are we going to come after if it gets nicked by these bunch of junkies?
Exactly that. So that's why the conversation was brought up. I think the reason it got messy is because we are all human. We all have our own egos and
Right.
wants and
You're not
needs.
the boss of me. I'm the fucking nobody tells me what to do. I'm not fucking you remind me of my dad. Don't tell me this or da 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 da.
I don't even think it's that. It's that kind of core want to be chosen.
Yep.
And, the position was offered to me by James.
Oh,
He thought that I was, the one that should do that because realistically, I do a lot of the role already. People come to me for advice, they come to me for decisions, and I tell people off. That's kind of my role in Raw. So he said, I think it should be you. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to everyone else, do a temperature check, see how they're feeling, and then we'll take it further. the temperature check didn't go so well. Some people were like, I don't think we need a leader. We're all equal. It's working really well. Why do we need to change anything? If we change stuff, some people are going to get annoyed. Um, there are people, there are other directors who have been here longer than I have. And I think part of it's like, well, I was here first. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's, those were the emotions that it brought up for them. So I'm I'm quite easy. Like, I don't really care. So if it's easier to say that we are all equally in charge, fine. I'm not going to push for it, because actually James had asked me several times and I kept saying no. And then the one time I say yes, everyone else is like, no. So, it is what it is. And I think I've had discussions with everyone else after this, kind of privately, just to, because I want to understand where it comes from. And I think it's the fear of change. Everything's working quite well at the moment. And would naming someone make relationships change? Would it make the way people approach me change? Would it make me more stressed? So we will see what happens next week.
What's the best for the organization?
I think this is what we were unsure about, and now that we've got all of our advisors saying that you need someone in charge, then I think it's best that we have someone in charge. And I used to sit there and I'd be like, it's fine. I don't need the title, because I don't really. But when you are already doing the job description, part of me is like, well, actually, if I had that title, I would be able to maybe more confidently do what I'm already doing, and people might take it more seriously. Not necessarily seriously, that's the wrong word. I think things get escalated up to me. It might happen quicker if people knew that that's where it was going anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, bring structure, clarity. I know where to go. So
Yeah.
when I walk into the clinic, yeah, which I don't run, but just because people know that I'm the owner, straight away they can sit up straight in reception and like, and then what the fuck are you doing? Like fucking, and it
Yeah.
does carry, job title does carry, I mean, if I had to meet the Queen or the King or whatever, it's going to have an effect
Yeah.
on me. And, if they were to fart next to me, they would also be like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah. And I think that's where some of the fear came from, is that, we all treat each other as equals, volunteer or director. And I think some of the fear was that putting a title on someone would alienate them, whether that's me or someone else.
So in group dynamics, yeah, or organizations, you got the up, down, near, far, in, out scenario. I think I've gone over this with you before, Daisy.
Yeah.
So just let me repeat it for Andrew unless he knows it. Yeah. So up, down is you walk into a family. So you walk into a house, you're sitting in a kitchen. Yep. And there are adults in the kitchen and there are children in the kitchen. Yep. So you walk in there and you'll suss out like who are the adults and who are the children. Yep. Based like that. Yep. And then the adults might be having a conversation about something like politics, for example, where they're all involved in the conversation, and the children feel far away from the conversation. Yep. But the children are in the family, and the adults are out of the family, the visitors. Yep. So when you come together in an organization, yep, if Daisy was the CEO, that would put her in an up position. Yep. Yep. And other people are below. Yep. And if they have a board meeting with all the other executives, she's going to be in the know. Yep. Or I'm not part of the management committee or whatever, so I'm going to be out. Yeah. And when they're talking about like minutes of the previous meeting and the resolutions that got passed, you might have people that have lived experience that have been invited into the meeting because they need to have lived experience in the meeting, but the guys are on their phone because they're bored as fuck and they don't understand what's going on. So it's like, tick box, we did it, we've been inclusive, but actually it's just a whole, yeah, it's just a whole kind of tick box exercise. So it's going to be based on your culture, Daisy, of what your organization wants to do. Yeah. Now, it's no longer a volunteer organization because two of the roles are paid. Yep. So that money's come from the commission that's commissioned. Yep. Because the global thing for the UK is to bring in lived experience. Yep. And it's too chaotic to just have volunteers. And it's also just wrong. So let's have two paid roles or three paid roles, whatever it is. Let's pay some people so we can hold them accountable to the role, which is basically, Daisy, we're fucking paying you to do your job. And then Daisy goes, but I am doing my job. And at the moment now there's no clarity. So the system is looking for clarity in certain areas so the organization can expand and go and get more money because it needs to fill out bids and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. When that happens, it can then create systemic pressure. Would that be a good word to use? Just stuff in there. So here's a role. Yep. The organization. Yep. Needs. Daisy would be a good fit for that role. How is that going to culturally shift the organization? So in an African culture where the chief gets no money, yep, but holds all the power and everyone's going to bow down and just so the chief's role is very kingly. Let me listen to all the subjects and the wise people of the court, and then the chief goes, yeah, whatever, you've got to look after me anyway. I'm the fucking king. Like a guy. That's sorry, that was my phone ringing. And then in westernized culture, where you've got these kind of corporate cultures, CEOs, entities, yep, where hang on, I just gotta Michaela, do you mind opening the door? Oh shit, I just gotta let my kid in. Talk amongst yourselves, loyal subjects.
How are you feeling about it all? Are you?
Um, I'm feeling okay. I think I don't yeah, I'm feeling okay about it. I think I'm a little bit apprehensive. I don't you never want to upset other people, um, especially people I work with and people I care about. Um, at the same time, it would be nice to get recognition for what I'm doing. Um, so, you know, part of me is like, oh, don't care too much. Just see what happens. And then part of me is like, I really want this. We're gonna do it. So, you know, it will be what it will be, and I'm not gonna put any pressure on it. I can't really.
I think ultimately it shows what a level of growth that Raw has had, because you're in a position now where you probably feel you need to make that step up, but that change for the step up is what scares people. It's like, well, we enjoy what we do. Is suddenly there going to be all this pressure? We're going to start to feel a bit different. Are we not going to enjoy it as much? And you don't know until you actually do it, but you don't grow unless you try, do you? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's it. I think that's part of it, isn't it? It's just, it's been going so well. We don't want to, rock the boat in a way.
Absolutely.
But I think it's come to that time anyway.
Does the salary stay the same?
Don't know. That will be discussed between everyone, and we'll see.
I hope I'm not mansplaining. I hope I'm not preaching to the two of you that you both know already. I get quite excited about it though, and then I get caught up. I think, God, fuck, am I talking too much?
Not at all. Not at all.
Uh,
I think a lot what you mentioned at the start, that it's just that when you've got a group of different people involved in it all, it's hard to manage, and there's always going to be complications around it, or whatever you have in organisations. There's always going to be people that are going to disagree, and that's
yeah.
healthy as well. Sometimes, if everyone agreed all the time, chances are you're going to make some wrong decisions altogether. You need people to have that conflict, but in a healthy way.
Yeah. And I think we do have that ability. We have the ability to share our opinions and talk things out evenly without it getting heated or personal or anything like that. And I think I'm someone that will, if I have thoughts or feelings to do with another person, I will bring it straight to them. I'm very upfront with the way that I approach people. Because I just think it's important to openly communicate. We don't have to agree, but at least you can hear what I have to say and I can hear what you have to say. And I think a lot of the time that just makes people feel easier. They feel heard, I hope. And we've had a lot of conversations about this leadership thing. And people know my stance, and I understand theirs equally. Everyone has their own motivations. I think like I say, at the end of the day, we have to think about what is best for Raw, not what is best for ourselves personally. And it's hard. It's hard to separate the two, but we have to.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an SLT team at Epic, and it feels like they always make it clear that everyone's approachable, and they are, but there's definitely levels of need to know, and then it sort of gets filtered down as and when we need to know. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people want to know everything, but don't necessarily want to deal with the shit that comes with it. So it's almost like, well, you don't need to know, because there is a lot of shit that needs sorting before it comes down this far.
Yeah.
There's that got to be acceptance of just saying that, just trust, as long as you trust the people that are there and you've got confidence in them, let them do what they need to do, and you just concentrate on doing your job. But it's very difficult at times, because there's something going on that I don't know about. But yeah, it's just that transparency around it all.
So, Andrew, what are you learning about moving a container when the group's small?
So it's finding the right topic to go on. You being able to hold it as well, to be able to give your information when you need to, changing the tone. It's difficult. It depends on the people as well. It's like shorten it if need be, to make it more, rather than feeling like you've got to drag it out to 2 hours if it is slow. I used to have groups that I had to try and get out 2 hours, and almost like if I logged off 5 minutes before, I'd get questioned why that the ones these days are like an hour long, so it's not so bad. So yeah, it's trying to manage it and find that right topic of conversation.
So who would question you if it was 5 minutes early? Excuse me eating. Do you mind? I'm
No.
so
What are you
fucking,
having?
I'm just toasted cheese and tomato and gluten-free bread. I'm so hungry.
Oh,
Oh.
nice.
It more when I was working in the previous role, previous charity, um, it was there were times where if I wasn't on Teams and bits like that, and the green tick wasn't on Teams, it'd be where are you? And it was felt like you're always pressured to be there. If you went logged off 10 minutes early, it was almost like they didn't, because it was a remote working role. There was a hyper vigilant. Whereas if working in an office, you probably would just sort of go and have a cup of tea for the last 10 minutes. But with that, it seemed like there was people watching the whole time. I only worked there a few months, so wasn't didn't stay. I got a different job soon after, but it just felt like it was micromanaged in that way, because they were so wary of the remote working role. Yeah, the groups are, they were tough at times, and you felt like people just needed to go early on a nice day. That there's people dropping off early, and you just thought, well, we might as well just finish it early. But it's almost like there was a tick box. It had to last 2 hours, or it had to be a certain format. It just didn't work.
And that's where you've got policies and process and a culture that's not actually very good
Mm,
for the efficiency of the organization.
no, absolutely. Yeah, and people wouldn't come back to the groups because it felt like that. It felt more
Mm.
like they had to, and it didn't feel organic. It felt quite structured, and yeah, it was really, really difficult to do. I do
But when
groups
it
now.
comes to reporting, we can say we've done so
Yeah,
many hours of group work in the community because here's the evidence there were blue ticks everywhere.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But what are people getting out of them? Yeah, yeah. The groups
Yeah,
now are an hour long.
drives
It's a,
me
it's a,
mental.
yeah. NHS was similar as well. It was difficult to kind of yeah to get around the fact that these people are not a statistic; they're people. Um, yeah, it's the balance you got, and the groups now I feel are a lot easier to do, but they're a lot more. They flow a lot better. I'm allowed to do them how I want to do them, or if I feel I need to change them. But it's just getting that confidence back doing them, I suppose. Over time, it will come, but it's quite anxiety provoking for myself to do the groups. I think it always will be to a certain degree, but it's just getting used to that.
What's anxious about it?
Um, I don't like. It sounds stupid because this is when I start doing the groups, I realise it's not the case. But the focus being on me, I never liked. So at the start, when trying to introduce the group and that being on me, it feels like that's the pressure point. And then when I start to ask the questions and other people start taking it on, which is what the groups are for, I start realizing, okay, this is okay because the focus is on other people now. So it's that kind of thing. When I give the lived experience talks on me, they're the worst ones because that is on me. But the groups, it's always that start and always thinking if people aren't engaging, it's on me to sort it out. Um, it's just a pressure. It feels like a pressure, and it's just something that I've always run away from in my life, I guess, when I was younger, that sort of pressure. And it's getting used to facing that and dealing with it. Yeah, so the anxiety comes from attention being on me and feeling like, okay, if I fuck up now, everyone's going to notice and such. But generally, the way I do it is I name it at the start. If I feel that way, I'll say it, get it out there, and then it feels better. So I learn to deal with it. It doesn't mean it doesn't go away.
So you're authentic about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which I never used to be.
Excellent.
Mm,
Excellent.
mm,
So I struggle with that anxiety all the time.
mm.
Holding space, am I going to make sense? What are we going to talk about? The pressures on me. Fucking, am I going to make a tit to myself? Da 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 da. And so, yeah, I relate to that completely. And it's all right for me to sit here and listen to your anxiety and go, ah, fuck, it's fine. It's all learning and da da da. But when I'm in the position, it's like, fuck. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I get it. The other thing I also struggle with is the the internal chatter, like now just getting up and going to let my son in, I suddenly think, oh my God, am I talking too much? Am I kind of, talking about the obvious stuff? Are people just being polite, listening to it? And actually they're just kind of thinking, yeah, David, I fucking know this stuff already. Fucking blah, 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 blah. It's that, that's also exhausting. Yeah.
Mm.
And for me personally, I don't like confrontation. Yep. And I don't want to be seen as better than someone else. And I just equal, we're all in this together and peace, love, and brown rice. Yep. And there's a part of me that's very fucking competitive that goes like, fuck you. Don't tell me I'm not going to do something. I'm going to do it, whether you pay me or not. Like, fuck you. Like, so I've got all this kind of shadow behavior that plays out in my leadership. Yeah. And yeah, and then there's also all those sort of cultural nuances as well that come into these things as well. And what I don't understand about the UK charity industry, because it is a fucking industry, and it feels more competitive than the fucking banking industry. Like the way these charities fucking fight over fucking scraps of money, and they're encouraged. And in 3 years, we're going to do a review. And if it doesn't work, you're all going to get fired and thrown out, and you've got to fight for this money. It's like, Jesus Christ, I mean, they're actually nicer to each other in corporates. If you had Boots and fucking Holland and Barrett together in a room or something, they'd be a lot more civilized and collaborative. Damn.
Yeah, we just had that with the funding issues with Epic. It's a gambling levy got put out. It was meant to, all the services were meant to get benefited from it and move forward with it all. And NHS England got hold of the money, and Epic have got no funding from them. Loads of others haven't got any funding from them. And we're like, oh, okay, so what was meant to be a good thing, suddenly all these services are potentially closing down because of it. We're okay for the time being, but we're sort of on the search for more funding now. But there was this massive fight over this pot of money. Everyone bidding for this money, trying to prove that they're better than the others, trying to prove that they're doing this, and
it's fucking disgusting, actually.
Unhealthy. Yeah, it put the work that we're doing at risk, and everyone who was doing it just made all these services under pressure and putting people in recovery who are working for these services, under pressure as well. It was, real damaging, but crazy world.
In South Africa, there's the legacy of apartheid. Yeah, racism's back, and there's a lot of pressure from government for a transformation agenda. Yeah, which is basically we got to distribute the power that is held by the minority, which is basically white people, and distribute it amongst the black population. Yeah. And basically what happens then in a bank where there's shareholder value, that the management and leadership need to squeeze as much productivity out of each employee in the organization. So they talk about transformation, but actually, I think what happens, and I can't prove this, it just feels like it. You've then got a black person there in the workplace working extra hard because they think that they've been given the job based on their color. And then you've got the white person in the job working extra hard because they think they're going to lose their job because they're not the right color. And so in the organizations, you've got two human beings that are fucking giving it everything because they're driven by an anxiety like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job and I'm not going to be able to provide for my family. And I can't help thinking that the people that are in charge of this have created this by design for productivity.
Mm.
And then when people like us come along with lived experience and bust it, talk about it, it actually challenges the system. So people go, yeah, well, we want lived experience, but we don't want to, they mustn't be too clever and too productive and kind of fix the things that are broken for us. But we want them to come along because, we have to, because Dame Carol Black and the crew have said they have to. But and this whole thing now with the gambling levy, Andrew, I can kind of see that pattern there. Like we got to, like the industry is causing all the harm. So industry used to put money in to fund problem gamblers. Yep. Now we must make it a levy so that they have to do it. Now that that's happened, now we have the money, let's put it in the NHS because we need the money, but we'll then dictate how to spend it. And all those fucking gamblers out there with lived experience, they're very nice people, but they are gamblers, they are risk takers. You can't really trust them. They commit fraud, they do this, like. Sorry, I get passionate about this stuff because it's like, fuck, it drives me mad. It's so dishonest.
And the decisions are probably made by people who haven't got any experience in the harm or any experience in what actually needs to get people through recovery. It's just who's
I'll tell you
written
what I
nicest
think
book.
that happens. Yeah, but there'll be some politician somewhere that goes, "Oh God, okay, we got to do that thing. Okay, well, just like whatever those people want, let's just. I got,
Mm,
and then it doesn't get the attention and fucking so they get fobbed off. Yes, whatever.
mm.
Now I'm all wound up.
Take a
Do you
breath.
want to take a 2-minute break, or should we just keep pushing through?
I don't mind.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just keep going. Yeah. All right. So, Andrew, do you want to summarize what we've been talking about today?
Yeah. So the obviously leadership roles and bits like that around the dynamics of what's happening with war at the moment and the potential complications around that and how it affects the chief side of things where the incentives around getting the incentives of the west side of it getting having that position of chief around that creates all this responsibility and people not being so happy with that around it around the groups and how to manage a smaller group and my mind's going completely blank so I'm really hot yeah how to manage the smaller groups and with obviously the levy and talking about at the end and how it's sort of managed and getting all the politics
So,
around that
Andrew,
sort
I
of
loved what you just said there. It's like, fuck, my mind's gone
yeah
blank. And you really just put your vulnerability out there. That just makes me want to trust you more. Yeah. So I did throw you in the deep end there because it's like learning skills yeah. So when it comes to summarizing, it's just like this is what was spoken about, this is how we started, this is what's come up, and this is where we're at now.
yeah
So what would you like to add to that, Daisy?
I think it was a good top line summary of what we spoke about. I don't think you missed anything. we did speak about kind of anxiety and the feeling when you're in charge and the vulnerability that that brings. Um, yeah.
Quite ironic, I missed that one. Yeah.
So there's the data, there's the information, the factual stuff. Then there's the feelings that go with it. And then there's the judgments that we have that get attached to those feelings. Yeah,
Sorry, someone's calling me. I've got to go.
no
I'll
problem. Bye. And now I'm going to take it all personally and think, oh my God, was it something I said? Did I not hold the container properly? Was it boring? I've just been fobbed off now? It's fucking exhausting.
I had that the other day in a group. I had a group at 5 o'clock and then one straight after at 6 o'clock. And the 5 o'clock one, it felt like, I think I started with maybe 6 or 7 people. 5 of them had their cameras off, half talking, a couple of them dropping off. Then the ones who had the cameras on started to turn their cameras off. And I'm there, I didn't know I was trying to hold it and people were engaging for a bit. And I think I ended up with about 3 people left at the end. I thought, what have I done? Like, how have I got that group so wrong? And I was fortunate I had the group at 6 o'clock that came along and it ran really smoothly and went really well. I'm thankful I had that, otherwise that 5 o'clock group would have been eating away at me all evening and all the rest of the week probably. But it's, yeah, fucking awful.
Oh,
It's
I
just,
so relate to that. Ah,
yeah.
oh, I so relate.
And that's the thing sometimes, isn't it? It depends on the group. If you get a few people in the group that just start engaging and start doing it, it takes over itself, doesn't it? But it's those groups that you're having to prize information out of people almost and sit there and then you just, yeah, I find those ones hard work.
Me too.
Mm.
When you're sitting in a session, it's like, okay, what's the time? Fucking how much longer?
Yeah,
I've fallen asleep a couple of times talking. Like after lunch, it's hot.
yeah.
I've eaten I'll never forget. I had a fucking Big Mac meal, so it was a big lunch. It was hot. I was stuck in a room, and this guy was just talking like this, and I started going like this. And he said, "You're falling asleep." I was so embarrassed. And yes, you're right. I am.
Was that in person or online?
Huh?
Was that an in-person meeting or
No,
was
no,
that
that was in person. That was
in
in
person?
person.
Really? Oh, wow.
It's oh fuck, and it haunts me. It haunts me.
And yeah, I find the individual ones fine. I can cope with individual ones. I can generally, and I do end them early if I feel like, because at the end of the day, it's their coaching session. If they don't want to talk for too long and they've got nothing really to go over, I'm quite happy to say that half an hour rather than 45 minutes for those ones. It just seems to be natural to do. It's just the groups where you feel like you've got to, is there something missing in the room that I'm not picking up that I should be picking up? Yeah, digging into it.
So when you have your groups and that, do you have to deliver content as part of it? Or it's just like a free for all, let's just talk, see what's going on.
Yeah, so the group coaching I do with Epic is free. It's basically free for whatever people bring to it. I have backup topics I can bring in if no one. I generally go around check-ins and like you do and you hear and pick up on what people check in, and then ask if people want to bring anything to the group. And then I have my backups in case there's nothing to go over. With some of the other groups, there is a theme each week. That theme I would use it as a second theme again, use it as a backup in case there's nothing else, if there's something more prioritized, if it's a coaching call, and there's something that someone brings up that takes priority, I'll always go with that first. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Just for my own curiosity, I'd love to talk more about the money and what happened with the levy.
Yeah.
Are you okay to talk about that?
I'm
To edu
from what I can say whatever I know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me the politics about it.
So, there's a lot of charities that help people through gambling harm that have been mostly developed through lived experience, and they're all built up and they're all helpful and all seem to be working in sync a little bit, and all were working in sync, where you'd have um, people getting trained up as volunteers, potentially of one organisation, one doing counselling through lived experience harm, Epic doing aftercare, so helping people rebuild their lives after gambling harm, and a couple of others all around that as well. So there was a good kind of variety for people to choose from, and the majority of it was getting funded through Gamble Aware, or through industry funding, like you mentioned. The industry be funding them, depending on who it was. So Epic were funded by Epic Global, who were funded by the industry. So there was this big politics around NHS not wanting to work with organisations who were funded by the industry, because in their mind, well, if they're funded by the industry, they must be doing what the industry wants them to do, which wasn't necessarily the case, but I guess could have been, in their minds. And I'm a trustee for Gambling Harm UK as well, who are prevention. And the big thing that we had with Gambling Harm UK was we weren't funded at all by the industry, but they were funded by Gamble Aware, who did get money for this. So it was all the money came from the industry anyway, in some form. And the NHS would open their clinics. They've sort of grown over the last few years. They've started building up their own clinics, and they're not funded by the industry, but they'll happily have the national lottery on their website to try and raise money for their charities and stuff like that. So they're getting money in for it. So the levy came in to try and boost everyone, rather than getting funded independently through that. It was like a compulsory thing for the gambling industry to put money in, to then filter through to give everyone. It's meant to be more money for everyone, and not so much funded by the industry from the terms that they had to do it as such. So it went for NHS England, got hold of it, and we're going to distribute it all. It was meant to be last October. It was all decided, but then they delayed that, as they do. All the bids were getting put in to try and get this funding. Everyone's trying to bid for this bit of money, all trying to go for the money that they felt they were entitled to. No one heard anything until the 1st of April was when everyone kind of needed to know, because that was the next financial year. They let them know 8 hours before the 1st of April that they weren't getting funding. And a load of people did get funding, but lots didn't, and didn't seem like it was evenly distributed around everyone. NHS clinics presumably got the majority of it, and then they just filtered out the rest through whoever they felt probably would work best with the NHS, I'm guessing. But aftercare, I don't think Epic, they considered aftercare as important as treatment. So, because in my being skeptical around it, I guess someone goes through a treatment, they get statistical 1. If they relapse again because they haven't had the aftercare, they go through the treatment again, that's 2, 3, however many times. So it kind of, to them, once they finish treatment, that's them ticked off and done again. So aftercare wasn't particularly considered. And yeah, it's other than that, what if any sort of money around this, it's got to be done through potentially going to the people that have been funded, or looking for sponsorship elsewhere now. But for the people that are left, and there's a few organisations that are having to close. Gamble Awares have to close now, and it's created a real hostility within the sector. People are still getting support, but it's yeah, there's probably a lot less available now.
Yeah, my dad would be turning in his grave.
What would
Because
you?
he was very influential in the gambling industry in this area about problem gambling.
Mm.
He was the chairman of GamCare was it GamCare or Gam? I think Gamcare for a bit. And then in South Africa, he was very much involved in the National Responsible Gambling Program, and and getting the balance right between industry paying a bit
Mm.
for problem gamblers and then building up the industry side to create economies and jobs and things like that. And then the government side and the regulators and the treatment and getting people to come together. And I think a highlight of his career was when he advised the House of Lords in 2006 or something around what needs to happen and the way they should go. And he always says, I got it 100% right around what they should do, and I got it 100% wrong in getting them to do it.
Really.
And that's what my interest is for around it. So yeah, fuck, I feel for you. Thank you so much for telling me that.
Mm. No, but yeah, it's one of those where you get so, like you say, get wound up with, like you did. I get wound up by it, and I think a lot of people have. And it's our mentality with Epic now is like we carry on doing what we can do. We practice what we preach, control what we can control, look for more what we can get, and make sure we all get well. And
Is
moving
Gordon
forward,
Moody still about?
Gordon Moody is still about. I don't think it's getting funding that way. So I'm not sorry, my kid was just screaming. Oh, she's right. Yeah, Gordon Moody is still about. I don't think they got funding from the levy though. So I don't know
Okay.
how long they're about for, whether they're getting funding from elsewhere. But they are still, people are still going to Gordon Moody rehab.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just unsettling for everybody, and
It's incredibly
it's
unsettling. And then what
time to
happens
investigate.
is people like us sit there with the anxiety of like, fuck, I've got to help this person, but fuck, am I going to have a job? Am I going to da, da, da? So it's inhumane to think that people are professional enough not to think that they're worried about that sort of stuff.
And in fact, it was so unnecessary. It just felt like, well, more money's coming in. Surely everything should just be kept going, and everyone should benefit from it. And it feels like it's just been so mismanaged that how's
Yeah.
this happened? It doesn't make sense. But like you say, it's almost feel like sometimes they do these things on purpose to make it harder work for people. I don't know. You start to go through all these things in your mind of what the sort of motives behind it, or whether it's just incompetence. You don't know what it is, but you just got to try and focus on what you can do.
Yeah,
Keep moving forward.
yeah, and the world is flat, and the moon landing was fake, and COVID was a. It's like I
Exactly.
can go into that kind of conspiracy theory
Exactly.
thinking,
Driving
what the
yourself
fuck
mad.
is this?
Yeah, crazy world.
All right, Andrew, let's leave it there.
Okay, mate. Yeah.
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 Just some feedback from me, if you want some.
Yes,
I
please, mate.
really love your dedication to this. You're showing up, you're engaging, you're completing your hours, you're doing this stuff. How are you doing with the online content? Have you gone through it all? The self-study stuff.
No, I haven't done that yet. So that's something that
Okay,
is
all
on the
right.
agenda
So
today. Yeah.
okay, so even if you just went through it all and just clicked it and didn't watch any of the videos or do any of that stuff, it's more about we need a piece of paper to say that you've gone through it.
No worries. Yeah, I'll get
And
that
you know
done.
what I mean? It's like, but I just want to bust the thing that people go through these things and they don't actually do it. But then people say, yeah, but they received training. It's like we don't want it to be like that. But if you do it, there's a certificate at the end that goes off to Paula, and then we send an email to your boss. Who's your boss? Richie?
Richie or Rich, yeah, Richie Paxton's the deputy
Yeah,
CEO.
yeah. So we'll just say, yeah, okay, so we're happy with Andrew. He's shown up. He's done well here. We're good to certify him. Are you good for it? And then he'll say yes, and then that goes to Paula, and then you get your certificates. So So keep your hours going. Yep. So it's 40 hours of classroom, 20 hours of systemic wellness, and then you're good to go. Because we've already evaluated your organization. So we don't need to do you know how to keep patient files or client files or human files or whatever you need to call them in your area? Participant files.
Delegates, we call them delegates.
Delegates.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good stuff. Yeah, I think I'm on this is my third of the afternoons, and then I've done 9 of the morning ones, so I'm nearly sort of halfway through as such. But yeah, I'll
Okay,
get
so
there.
now you're a peer recovery specialist. Yep, that's basically you know how to navigate people around the recovery capital, particularly for gambling harm.
Yeah,
Yep, go here, do this, do that, do that. Yep. The next 20 hours is around coaching people. Okay, so now you're stable. What fucking kind of life do you want to live?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Okay. And then the systemic wellness is working in this type of organization.
yeah, yeah. No, brilliant.
How are
I'm
you
enjoying it.
checking out?
Checking out. Yeah, thankful. I'm yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the afternoon and finishing off this trampoline, and yeah, I've enjoyed it, David. Thank you. Yeah. How about you?
I'm checking out good. I'm looking forward to going out for supper with my kids and having an afternoon nap. I'm a grandpa now. I'm 60 years old. Goodbye.
You've had it, mate. Take care, mate. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.